Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are tuned in to the Ramadan special on EAVA 102.5 FM. We are also live online streaming www.ramadan.fm. You can also watch us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on Twitter. The number to text in for today's show is 07450 925 084. My name's Sharmeen and I'm the host for today's show called Morning Matters. And today's show, I've got a very special guest lined up, inshallah. And just to introduce this very special guest, Professor Jonathan Wilson is an award-winning academic and partner of the firm Dragonfly Black. He has spoken at over 100 conferences across the globe and published over 200 pieces of work. He specializes in what he calls the ABCDs of business and culture: advertising, branding, communications, and digital. Professor Wilson is also editor-in-chief of the Journal of Islamic Marketing and has worked internationally with a range of government, corporate, and university clients, receiving international media coverage. He has just released his new book, Halal Branding, but we have him on the show today to discuss what more we could be doing on social media to improve our professional profiles. So I'd like to welcome to the show Professor Jonathan Wilson. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How are you today, Professor?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. So today, one of the reasons I have you on is because you're one of the top voices on LinkedIn. And people out there are going to say, what's LinkedIn? So I think we're going to go straight into that, if that's okay. What is LinkedIn, Professor?
Okay, so LinkedIn is a social media platform which is like Facebook, but it's for the business community. So it's been around for a while, and when it first came out, people would generally go on there if they wanted to look for a job, post a job, and you would have your profile, which is pretty much like a CV. But it's evolved now into being something which is a lot more like Facebook, in that people are sharing articles, asking for ideas, inspiration, help them set up a business or a side hustle, recording videos, and just sharing good information. And I think it's especially interesting because, you know, I've been talking to people about Ramadan and stuff on LinkedIn because people also are just wanting to find new ways to discover about how people live. And I think on the upside, unlike Facebook and some of these other social media platforms, because it's business focused, then people tend to be on their best behavior, so you don't get as many trolls or people swearing or kind of making nasty comments.
And just mentioning that about Ramadan, in fact, last year, before Ramadan, I actually published my first ever LinkedIn article, which was about Ramadan radios on LinkedIn. And so it provides a platform for people and a voice, an opportunity for people to share ideas, as you said, in a very different way to perhaps Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media platforms.
Yeah, and we met on LinkedIn as well. So
yes. Well, not just yourself, actually, Professor. I also met, this is the bizarre thing. So I remember thinking to myself, on my LinkedIn connections, I've got someone who works within mental health and they're a counsellor. I couldn't remember the sister's name. And I was thinking to myself, you know, subhanAllah, I really needed her to be on the radio because last week was Mental Health Awareness Week. And I wanted a top guest to interview around body image, which is the mental health campaign topic for that week. And lo and behold, I thought, I don't know how I'm going to find her, because that's one of the things, and we'll probably come on to that a bit later on, how to find things on LinkedIn. And she posted on LinkedIn, it came up on my feed. So Myra Khan, who is an award-winning counsellor, not just that, professor, she actually lives in Leicester, would you believe? And she never has been on the Leicester radio. So that was LinkedIn. Totally random, but, you know, subhanAllah, it just worked. And it is a magnificent way to find a lot of information. I've personally benefited a great deal from that. As you said, not just about professional editing, especially this conversation about Ramadan. So things like the Open Iftar projects, other projects which are going on, like the getting women involved with mosque trustee boards, for example,
Yeah.
That's information that I wouldn't ordinarily have picked up on had I not been on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So actually, since you're on LinkedIn, because I wrote an article in another magazine about how Ramadan advertising is kind of so boring and needs a bit of a facelift. What do you think?
On LinkedIn?
I mean,
Or
like, did
just
you see my
generally?
article?
I haven't. You'll have to bounce
Oh
that to me.
dear.
I've been so busy doing the research for these shows and trying to keep on top of my other little side hustles and my kids. So no, unfortunately I haven't. But definitely bounce that over to me. I would love to read that. I
Yeah,
haven't
because
had
that
a
one
chance.
actually got a lot of views. I mean, just to give you an idea, like, it got several thousand views in a couple of days. So because I think one of the other important points is that one of the reasons that if you think about a business platform, people effectively they want to know how to make money,
Yes.
and making money is a good thing because then it means that you can give money to charity, spend money in iftar, and see the world and educate your children and stuff like that. So I think that's the other point that I want to make, which is that sometimes when people see business, they think, oh, it's just about making money and making money is bad. But I just want to kind of challenge that and say there are lots of interesting people that I've discovered on the platform who are also looking to challenge conventional definitions on what that means to be a business person,
What's interesting is that idea of sort of guilt around making money, but then equally making money, having a business is all part of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also just reflecting upon that point that Islam does give us a great model in terms of ethical business.
Yeah.
Which would be very interesting to know more about, I think, in the future on LinkedIn is how Islam can contribute to a more ethical way of doing business. And people sometimes just detract from that and just focus on just making the money, but actually how you're making the money. And I suppose out of that perhaps is what Islamic finance and ethical financial models and things like this have sort of branched out to that perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think when you introduced me, you would have mentioned I've got a book that came out called Halal Branding. So I've tried to push that angle in terms of just how we promote items, not just whether they're Sharia compliant, but just is there a way, like you don't want to have people eat too many fried chicken wings, but
True.
some are okay, and and also my business partner, Mohammed Raldas, he's got a book coming out next month, inshallah, called To God Through Money, which was kind of provocatively titled as such, but it was also his journey converting to Islam and studying Sharia and living in the Sahara Desert, and then afterwards coming out and setting up a business, and how you would go about that. So he, for example, has a vegan necktie company, which he didn't start off wanting it to be vegan, but actually, not wanting to wear silk as a Muslim man, and he created a necktie company and then realized that there was a wider message that people were very appreciative of, like that idea of kind of having values. So I think I've liked LinkedIn because rather than the media driving the discussion on what the world looks like, you've got the world talking and saying this is what we look like. So also, I think one of the reasons I got an award from LinkedIn was because they noticed that I offered a different voice than perhaps you see in the newspapers, because I spend a lot of time talking about race issues, religion issues, gender issues, politics, some of the things that sometimes people don't want to talk about. But I thought if you don't talk about them, then that's a real shame. And obviously on a platform,
Yes.
there's no one saying you can't talk about these things. So there was one, if we look at race issues, for example, there was one post I did where I singled out a particular university that said it was offering a global education, and they had 185 academic members of staff, and none of them were black.
SubhanAllah.
And I said, what's up with that, basically?
Yeah.
And some people thought it was a bit, I said, oh, you're a bit brave, or they might never offer you a job. But I said, but I don't think they were going to offer me one in the first place. I mean, but I did think that it was particularly important, because at the same time, these universities are advertising that they offer education, which they do, and they offer great education. But it's kind of depressing in a way, because for example, if you look in the Muslim community, we have a lot of teachers now. We have a lot of people who have gone to university and are really well qualified, intelligent, bright, passionate individuals.
Yes, there
And
are.
I can see in education, in primary and secondary education, there are lots of good Muslim teachers. But then in university, it becomes that there are less people. And I think I know some of the reasons why. It's difficult, and you're challenging a status quo where effectively you have to stay a little bit longer, maybe get a PhD. But I think it's worth the journey because you're now in a position where you're the one that's awarding the qualification. You're awarding the degree. You're awarding the PhD. And so you have a better chance to influence. But I have to say that it is difficult, and you will receive some criticism, comments and stuff. But I just really wanted to drive that point home because
I think it's very, very
I
important
think
point.
I think that not enough of us have kind of had that seed put in our head.
Well, we have here actually, thankfully, on the radio, a program which runs every weekend called The Leading Ladies, which is headed up by Mahmouda Duke, who is an award-winning lawyer here in Leicester.
Yeah.
And she showcases Muslim women who've broken those barriers and achieved greatness. And I think this thing is the diversity. And one of the things that I do personally I've liked about it, when I first went on that, I too was really scared about being trolled. But then I noticed how many women in hijab were posting profile pictures of themselves in hijab. And I posted a profile picture with myself, which I would have never done on any other social media platform. And I still haven't done, to be honest, because I fear on those platforms I'll be trolled. Whereas on LinkedIn, it literally, I've been meaning to write an article about this, as everyone is welcome on LinkedIn. Because I do genuinely feel that is the case. So,
trolling is a problem. I mean, I don't get anything near what a Muslim hijabi female would get, I'd imagine. But I mean, I know that there's a big difference from if I write about something that's connected with Islam, even if it's in business, telling the world that they could make more money selling to more Muslims, then I will get some negative comments, and some of them can be quite hurtful. But that's also one of the downsides of social media. I mean, what it gives, it also takes to a certain extent.
Now, we've touched previously on some of the benefits of using LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Any particular ones that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think, what I'd like to say is that in a world now where more and more people are basically Googling and Wikiing and stuff like that, I mean, we have this, I think, people have this habit now of checking, right? So, like, whether you want to buy something on Amazon or whatever it is, you check, and you don't just look at the advert, you look at what other people say, so you're looking for reviews. So that's a kind of verification. Now, I've even argued in my book that that's not too dissimilar to, if you think about hadiths and narration chains, and looking at who said what and what their character was like. So I don't think it's particularly new, because Muslims kind of champion that with hadith, and that was one of the strengths of kind of being able to preserve the truthfulness of the message.
And the integrity of those sources.
Yeah, Prophet Muhammad. Now, we can see that that's happening, as I said, when it comes to shopping, when it comes to work. Now, this is the thing that now we know that more and more people check. Now, they're not necessarily going to tell you, but people are doing it in the comfort of their own homes or when you're not around. So LinkedIn is a very good way for you to put your best face out there, because you get to choose the picture, you get to choose, how you profile yourself in terms of your qualifications. So you get to control your narrative. Now, I think that now we're getting to this climate where, if you're not, I mean, it's almost like if you're not on social media, then people don't think, oh, you're not on social media. In a work capacity, they think, why aren't you on social media? Do you have something to hide?
There's a comic relief little clip about that.
Yeah.
Being on social media. But I think with LinkedIn, the benefit of that is that you're putting, as you said, your best face out there. You're putting your CV out there. You're putting, particularly for myself as a mother returning sort of to the workplace or looking to return to the workplace, what I found particularly beneficial is that it showcases who I am and my achievements, which otherwise actually are quite hard to do, particularly if, in my case, previous employers that I've worked for, I worked in public health, which were at the time sat in NHS, but now it's totally been moved. The whole NHS department that I work for no longer exists. and when you've been self-employed, which previously I had been. So you're relying on other people to sort of, who are outside of normal circles, to give you that integrity. And when you share, you get that from LinkedIn in a way that I think you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the thing is that, yeah, even if you're posting an article and you have other professionals saying, commenting and saying that is a nice article, to me it's different than Facebook or Instagram because effectively, like, you know, if someone says, oh, this person liked your article and they are, you know, someone in your industry, or then that has some kind of positive effect. And you know, it's interesting because even after the Christchurch attack in New Zealand, Prime Minister
Yes.
was using LinkedIn to tell
I did see
people.
that.
Yeah. So it's
Phenomenal.
like, wow. So you've even got prime ministers who are active on LinkedIn, and funnily enough, I invited to connect, and she connected. I was like, wow.
Wow.
I can't get any form of communication with the prime minister of our country, and here I'm connecting with the prime minister of another
Wow.
country. So I thought it was quite interesting that I thought, wow, you're someone that's really ahead of the times because you're using you can upload videos that you can record directly on the platform, and you're engaging with people from all over the world, and you're generally trying to solve a problem in this way, and that to me is exciting. But the thing
Absolutely.
that I'd like to say is, now some of your listeners might be thinking, oh, that's okay if, like, you know, you have loads of qualifications or you got loads of work experience, then of course you want to go on LinkedIn because you get to show off and showcase those skills. But the point I'd like to make is, you don't have to have all of those things because, you know, at the very first stage, and this is the advice, you know, that I give to university students who, you know, still don't have a degree, still don't have any work experience, is create the profile, because you have to get into the mindset of thinking it's like keeping a garden. A garden doesn't look beautiful straight away. You have to plant the seeds and you have to look after them. So it's something that will evolve over time, but it's better to do it sooner rather than later. And in the very beginning, and this is what I did when I first got on the platform, just go on there regularly and watch and look at what other people do.
Get a feel for it.
Yeah, and look at their profiles, look at what they share, look at what they say. And I spent a long period of time not actually commenting or anything like that because I just wanted to know, get a feel of the platform and know, like, what other people did. And then I developed my own personal taste as to what I liked and what I didn't like and what I thought was just a bit average. And that influenced the way that I kind of decided to communicate and how I did my profile. So, yeah, I looked at people's photographs, I looked at people's biographies, I looked at how they explained things. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that point because I know that some people might just be thinking, yeah, it's okay.
I'm going to come back to that in a second. I just need to announce that you are tuned in to the Ramadan special on EAVA 102.5 FM. You can text in if you want to know more about LinkedIn. It's 07450 925084. That's 07450 925084. Do store that number into your phone. We are broadcasting on Facebook Live as well, so you can drop a comment on there if you've got a question. And in the second half of the show, inshallah, we'll be talking about more about travel. But coming back, just to remind anyone who is just tuned in, I have Professor Wilson, who is a top LinkedIn voice, talking to us today about LinkedIn and how we can use LinkedIn effectively. And one of the things you mentioned that, you know, the honest truth of how I got onto LinkedIn, because people kept telling me, some people said it's really useful, some people got all their contracts through it, other people it's an absolute waste of time, so I had really mixed messages. So I kind of had a profile, but nothing on there. And my stepdaughter actually put up her LinkedIn profile, and I thought, look, I have to do something now.
Yeah.
Because she's linked herself to me, and my profile is like zilch.
Yeah.
So literally in the middle of the night, because I thought it's just not fair on her, because she's taken the time to put a profile up. I think she was 16 or something at the time. She's, you know, we looked it up as anyone over 13, I think the age. And she put it up, and I thought, oh gosh, okay, so now here I am, typing away, trying to remember what I did for the past decades of my life, to make it seem that I'm a real person, which of course I am a real person, but it's trying to get back at that, because, you know, I was so out of touch with what happened full-time mother for 6 years, totally out of the loop with so many things. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to keep sane, and that was the honest truth of the matter. But then she did that, she took that step, and I felt obliged. So there I was, literally until 2 in the morning, putting up a profile, something out there, which of course over time have changed, and it's always changing, it will always evolve
Yeah,
over
and there's
time.
another top tip, which is there is a button on LinkedIn. So once you've gone to the trouble of filling out all the different fields about, which school you went to and everything, you can click a button that turns that into a PDF CV.
Oh, I did not know that.
There you go. So then if you are applying for jobs that say submit your CV, then it's already put it in a format, which is actually quite good. So
Yeah, that's fab. I always thought, wow, that
try it
definitely is a
out.
top tip. I'm going to try that out, definitely.
That becomes another thing that, who likes writing their CV? It's one of those
No,
tasks
that's why I've not done it.
You've not done it?
No.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm not formally looking for work, actually, so I'm okay right now. But the reason I'm on LinkedIn is because I do want to make myself open in case somebody sort of sees that I have a lot of skill set worth picking up on.
Okay, so my top tip is you need to have your CV ready and on ice, and it's better to have it ready so that you don't rush, because if you rush then you might have typos and stuff. But just to give you an idea, for at least the past 15 years, I've always looked at my CV every 1 to 2 months and tried to find ways to make it better, add things like check. So if you look to my hard drive, there's a version from like every 1 to 2 months.
Wow. No, I can't say I've got that.
Because you meet somebody at Iftar and they say, "Oh, sister, like, we should do something together. Okay, send me your CV." And then the thing is, if you can send that CV just before suhoor or something the same day, then it means something. Someone's like, "Oh, it translates as this person is organized, efficient, smart business
Absolutely.
person." But if it's like everyone else and it's like, "Okay, yeah, inshallah, I will do," and then inshallah is like, "Oh, let me just..."
It doesn't happen. Inshallah, it doesn't
happen.
happen.
It's the last 10 days. Oh, like, Eid Mubarak, or like, oh, not Eid because you're with your friends, but like, 3 weeks later, that moment could have gone, whether someone else could have come up in someone's radar, or like, they just, it's important to respond quickly, I find.
We are coming to the end of the show. Time has flown by. Final thoughts.
Final
thoughts, top tips that just somebody needs to know about LinkedIn today that you would say to them.
Yeah, this is an important opportunity where you can control your identity and do so to try and make money, whether that's full-time, part-time, side hustle, and really think about, I would say, having a good photograph and explain to people what it is that you're about, what you do, and what you'd like to do and who you'd like to work with, and then just go out and experiment and try and make new connections.
Just got a quick question come in. If you could, Brother Wilson, give us some advice to youngsters on how to build up experiences for their CV.
Okay, I would say that if you're young and you can afford to do stuff like that, like you could be living at home or you're a student and your bills are covered, reach out to companies that you would like to work for and say, could I just come in for like a couple of hours just to see what you guys are about? Because some people might be worried that if it's like, oh, I need to offer you a job, then it puts barriers into place. So in my early days, I would quite happily say, look, I would just like to come in. And whether that's just doing very basic admin stuff, I knew that once someone got to know me, and like after a few hours, that might turn into come in every week, and that might turn into a job. So there have been a number of jobs that I've done where it didn't start off as a full-time job from scratch, paid for.
Sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We're just going to go over to an ad break. Professor, if you could hold the line, we'll just finish up on that in the second half of the show.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are back with the Ramadan special on EAVA 102.5 FM. You can listen online on www.ramadan.fm. We're also on Facebook, streaming live, and on YouTube and on Twitter. The text-in number is 07450 925 084. That's 07450 925 084. We have got Professor Linton. Sorry, Professor. live radio. This is what happens. We've got Professor Wilson, who is a LinkedIn top voice. He's got an amazing background. We're very honoured to have him as a guest on the show today. And we'd run out of time before the break, so I just wanted to continue the conversation a little bit before I move on to my other hot topic of the day. But Professor, when we went over to the ad break, we had an interesting question come up on the Facebook. Someone said, Salams, we sell on eBay and on Amazon. Do you think we need to use LinkedIn?
Yes, but I would do it in a less salesy way, because the thing is, you're talking, it's a business-to-business environment, so you're talking to professionals. What I would use LinkedIn for is to showcase your credibility as business owners, so they know a bit of background about you. You can talk about what you do at your company. So if you see, there are a lot more businesses now that are talking about their behind-the-scenes stuff, and also commenting upon stories that come up. So I would use it like this, and at the end of the day, it's an opportunity to get free publicity and to connect people for free.
You can also create a LinkedIn page for your business organization. I did that myself. I did one for the Ramadan FM project in Milton Keynes. Sorry, I have to say that. I'm looking at the producer. This is why I almost regularly end up saying ramadanfm.com. That's not the website for this radio. But you can do that, and whether you're an organization, charitable organization, whether you're a small, community organization, or whether you're a big organization, having that presence for your business on LinkedIn, how important is that, Professor, do you think?
Yeah, it is, because now people just want to know more about the people that they're trading with. So whether you are just a side hustle, or whether you're a restaurant or a larger company, then people, as much information on these platforms is important, just to allow people to kind of shop at their leisure and just check things up.
And it gives them more, again, coming back to this idea of integrity and confidence in who you are, what your brand is about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also the opportunity to talk with people directly, because then I've noticed that, customers have different preferred methods of communication. Some people like email, some people like phone, but some people equally like Instagram or LinkedIn to direct message, and I can see that in my own work. Some people, rather than, like, my email address is available in the public domain, but people choose to message me on LinkedIn or send a tweet or something like that. So it's just another way for people to connect with you.
The other thing that comes to mind, and we talked earlier about the negatives, about being trolled. Are there any tips that you've got about staying safe online? And about, one of the things that came up a couple of months back, actually, I noticed there was a link, someone who wanted to connect with me, and their profile just didn't add up. And I looked into further, and I was pretty sure it was a fraudulent profile. How do you stay on top of things like that? That was one of the things that really concerned me right at the beginning.
Use your gut instinct in the same way as a real person in the real world.
Yeah.
Think cautiously in the same way. So, but the thing is, it's not the end of the world. Like, if you put up a post and then you don't like it, you can take it down. Or if somebody posts a rude or offensive comment on your post, then you can delete it, because you're the person that posted it. You can unconnect with people. So there are lots of ways that you can get around it, but also I'd remind people that whatever you put on social media will be there forever. So because it's going to be there forever, then just think. Even if you remove it, then people can take screenshots and things like that. Just think carefully about, is that something that you want people to remember you for? And then in response to, if you receive negative comments, I would also say that you should be very, very careful about how you respond to negative comments, and think the same thing. How would people view me if they wanted to do business with me, or things like that, if I reply in that way? And so that becomes the hard part, because some people could say hurtful things, and your immediate response could be to respond, to fight fire with fire, or
Yes,
to make just a cheeky comment back. But there's nothing wrong with cheeky comments, but just think, okay, but you want people to remember me for that comment.
And also, I think sometimes one thing I have noticed is sarcasm doesn't work as well on LinkedIn, because people don't get it internationally.
It depends who you connect to.
Thingy. I have found that in the past. But
British
because
sarcasm
it's an international platform as well. I think
right.
that's the other thing.
British sarcasm is an acquired taste. I get it. So maybe if they haven't watched Fawlty Towers and Monty Python and stuff like that, then they wouldn't get the sarcasm. They think, oh, you're literally... No, actually, you're right. There have been one or two occasions where I've joked with friends of mine on LinkedIn, and other people have thought that I was being, like, negative towards... I was like, you don't understand. He's like one of my best friends. but yeah, you're right. So be careful of the fact that it's an international platform, and just, like, if you feel your blood boiling, then sometimes just walk away from that screen and just leave it. If you are going to respond, then just leave it a couple of days and think, is it really that important? But I know that we all get to that situation where, people say things, you think, oh, I must respond, or if I don't, my honour's been challenged, then probably not. The world still turns,
There's a question has come in on the Facebook. It says, what do you think of companies who offer to increase your brand social media footprint online and to offer increased traffic on your social media pages? Not everyone has the knowledge and know-how to use social media when there are so many sites, and this is the thing, there are so many sites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Smaller organizations can't keep up with social media if they have a smaller team, and these companies charge quite a lot for increasing your presence and gaining your popularity.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What I'd say is good luck to those companies that offer those services, but there's no substitution for doing things yourself and knowing firsthand. So I wouldn't just think of, it's a bit like, if you think in the real world, if you were to say, look how big my muscles are, or look how rich I am, or something like that, like, what would you think of that person? And you'd be like, well, okay. Like, some people might be impressed, but a lot of people might just say, so what? And so it's funny that in the world of social media, there are so many people that become transfixed with, I need lots of followers. It's quality, not quantity.
Yes. But I have seen that on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, experiment. I'd say that, so LinkedIn, for 2 years running, have given me an award as being one of the top voices. But I do not have the most followers, but and you can check the numbers. I don't have the most followers or have the most likes, but the engagement levels are high, and the quality of communication amongst people that interact with my comments is high, and that's what they recognise and rewarded. So I would say that there are two things. Number one, try to learn at least the basics and experiment, because then you will start to see what works for your business. Because some of these companies offer things like, oh, I can make it work for you, but if they don't know your business or your personality and the people that work there and your mission and message, then they're not necessarily going to give you quality of engagement. The other thing to do is to reach out to people that know. There's nothing stopping you offering an internship or something to young, aspiring professionals like university students who would like some work experience. Even if you can't offer them so much money, then I'm sure that there are things that you can offer them. You can offer them a reference. You can offer them chapli kebabs every day for a week, or I don't know what it is.
Free iftar for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that
try
makes
and
sense.
reach out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives somebody else a platform, a platform, an opportunity to build up their own professional profile on LinkedIn. I've got another question. Could you ask about how charities can use LinkedIn?
Yeah, charities can use LinkedIn. I think it's the same as I said before. If you're thinking about the messages that you put out, think about, like, if you're going to send out 10 messages, 8 of those 10 messages shouldn't be about asking people for money. You need to think about having kind of a story, like a features list, where you're talking about people behind the company, how you have a good time, relevant news stories. So I'd try a much more soft selling approach, because unless you're placing adverts, which you're probably not if you go on LinkedIn, you're trying to engage with the business community. So you're speaking from the perspective of a charity, and I think that's really important, because sometimes people wear out platforms by just basically preaching. So don't preach, teach. Tell people.
I think that's a really important point, actually. There are lots of learning opportunities on LinkedIn as well, and I think that seems to be growing from a year ago, from what I see. LinkedIn running their own courses, I think now. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, LinkedIn Learning has free tutorials on how you can improve things like public speaking, marketing planning. So yeah, they have there are lots of free courses. There are jobs advertised. There are interest groups that people have formed around particular topics. So they have tried to make it a lot more engaging. And actually, I visit LinkedIn every day.
Yes.
And a lot of the time I do that because rather than just going to a news website, I go to LinkedIn if I want to know. Now that I'm following particular feeds and people, I know that I'm going to see information on news stories that I like. So sadly, like when I looked on LinkedIn, I saw that Jamie Oliver's going to be closing.
I know.
A lot of his restaurants. Ford is going to be laying off a lot of people.
It's quite depressing sometimes, the LinkedIn news feed. They actually I have that set up as well. You have a daily... I don't know.
So I saw those on LinkedIn rather than necessarily listening to radio or watching breakfast television. But then there are less depressing stories because, to give people an example, it was a couple of Eids ago, I celebrated with a KFC bargain bucket with chicken gravy.
Okay.
I put a picture on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of interest because I found out that a lot of people like chicken, regardless of their religion. And so it was quite lighthearted, but it became a point of discussion because once people started talking about chicken, then it's like you're making new connections and friends. I think the mistake that some companies make is that they have a mission, which is we are a charity or we sell, double glazing windows, and they think that they have to continually tell people that that's what they do. What you can do is you can also bring people into your world where they get to understand something about you and why you do what you do. So don't underestimate the importance, for example, on any social media platform, that if your favourite cricket team is playing and you're celebrating that on social media, then you might have people watching who then think, okay, this is an interesting company, or okay. Obviously not when Pakistan were being beaten by England last week, or I suppose that depends on who you listen to.
Yes.
So maybe I made a mistake there. I just assumed that there'd be more people supporting Pakistan, but
we can't make assumptions, diversity, and all. We can't be making those assumptions on air.
I think it's probably a generational thing.
Well, and also it reminds me of a particular comment made by somebody. I can't remember who it was, but paraphrasing here, it's a definition of how British you are, whether you
that was Norman Tebbit, and it became the Tebbit test. So of my generation, then cricket was politics, right? I mean, it was a chance for you to challenge the Commonwealth and to win. but I take that back because you've got Moeen Ali or you've got Dealey now who
You're talking a foreign language when you talk about cricket. You realise that? To me, I know nothing about cricket. But it's
a Leicester audience. Phone in a text about Dealey and his amazing.
Okay, text in if you're liking the conversation about cricket. Text in.
His catches, his athleticism. He's the star. He's the star England cricket player. He's the best talent they've had for a while.
Is he on LinkedIn? That's the question, isn't it?
I don't know, but
cricket players need to be on LinkedIn.
Talking about athletes, I remember Prince Nassim posting something on LinkedIn saying he was looking for someone to do his marketing.
Oh,
so
there you go.
So you do find people interesting people from different backgrounds. So yeah.
Well, we had another question come in.
Okay.
And just before I read that out, I'm obliged to say this. Ramadan special, you're tuned into the Ramadan special on EVA 102.5 FM. The website to listen in online is www.ramadan.fm. And you're free to text in with any of your thoughts or comments. We've got another comment come on the Facebook, but you can text in on the usual ordinary mobile telephone. Is 07450925084. 07450925084. So the question just came in. LinkedIn, it says, LinkedIn has worked wonders for our charity as it's opened us up to a whole new business support network. What charity is this? Feed the Homeless, Arif Voraji. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. That's really interesting. There must be, I mean, we're not aware of it, but it's good to know that actually there are people really actually benefiting from this platform in ways in the local community here in Leicester has benefited as well. So there's a great scope
news.
there.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we've got that up on the Facebook actually, the website for that particular charity, Feed the Homeless, here in Leicester. So
one thing that maybe I could talk about on LinkedIn that people don't know is this idea of video. So they have, just like you can upload videos on Facebook or Instagram or something, they have something called native video. So you can record something on your smartphone, and then you could upload it into a post on LinkedIn. And a lot more business people are doing that, whether that's a thought for the day or something that they're experiencing. So if you're a charity, if you're going to a particular area and you're doing your work, rather than spend lots of money on slick advertising and promotional videos, you could just be doing something with your smartphone and uploading it. And I've done that. I've been traveling to different countries speaking at conferences. I've just recorded things on my mobile and uploaded them. Or hello, I'm in this country. If you want to find out more, then contact me. And I've been surprised at kind of how swiftly people respond. And the thing that's going to be coming out fairly soon, I mean, is live streaming on LinkedIn. So I've been given a chance to test it. So they've tested it with a few people who've been on the platform for a while. So I did some live streaming inside one of my lectures that went okay. Mm-hmm. But then if you think about the opportunities of that, now with live streaming, it also means that whoever is watching your feed, just like on Instagram or something, people can ask questions and comment at the same time.
Yes.
So that becomes really interesting. So if you think about a charity doing a fundraiser, now you could be doing a fundraiser in a venue, that if you were having that live streamed as well, then you've also got people that can be asking questions and contributing.
So you've
online.
Managed to convince, I think, my producer over there, he's convinced of, now I've said to him for a while, we need to be streaming on LinkedIn and putting our stuff on LinkedIn, and he's not really been very convinced about this. So he said he's going to start doing this. So we've had a success story here as well today with that. I think I might have added more to his workload, but yes.
How much do I charge for my consulting fee?
We can give you some free chicken and chips down here in Leicester if you come up. Or something better. Something better. We'll treat you to a meal if you do come up to Leicester.
Oh, chicken and chips this start. I haven't had one yet this Ramadan, so that'd be good.
Well, we're actually based on Evington Road here in Leicester, and there's a whole street full of halal eateries, from steak places to techish places. Though it probably shouldn't be saying this to you while it's Ramadan and we'll fast.
Oh, I don't mind.
But
it's good to talk about food.
There's certainly a great deal of options up here. So whenever you're up here in Leicester, definitely we'll have to take you out. And as a thank you for taking your time and speaking with us here on LinkedIn. Here on radio. Gosh, honestly, too many mistakes on this show today. But that's the thing with live radio. So we have actually got 4 minutes now left of the show. I was going to talk about something else, but it's been so informative, and I think people have really benefited from listening in to this interview. Professor, I really do appreciate you taking the time out to do it. Tell me, are there any other things that you can think of which people need to know about when it comes to LinkedIn, anything that people can go away and...
If we do a recap, I think, step one, the most important thing is create your profile.
Yes.
and do it sooner rather than later. And think that, you might feel a bit nervous about it, but actually you're going to find that your engagement or interaction is going to be improved if you have a good photograph.
Yes, that is
And
true.
by good photograph, what I mean is just you looking like you.
I know there are some really random ones out there, I have to admit.
Yeah, there are some random ones, and then you've got to think that then you think, do I want to do business with that person? But be rest assured that there are people from all over the world on the platform now.
Yes.
So whenever I don't know, a lot of people tend to find that when they go to weddings and stuff, they're wearing their best clothes. Then and the sun lights out, then take a good picture of yourself. I'm not saying you need to spend money on a photographer, but just if there's a good camera around and you're feeling good and the sun is shining, then get a good picture and put that there, and then think about the main headline, which is what is it that you do, and that's what you want people to remember you by. So whether that's I help the homeless, or I am a business consultant, or I am looking for work
Yes, that's
in
another
the
one.
restaurant industry, then you can put those in your headline, and then you should fill out as many of the sections as you can with whatever qualifications or education that you have. If you don't have them, then you don't need to fill them out, because what happens is it doesn't look like a blank. It just means that your profile is shorter. So LinkedIn won't say, you've not filled this out, could you fill it out, please? It just makes it shorter.
I'm just going to butt in there, because we've had another message come through. Somebody said, any advice about how to break links with someone you've previously connected with without causing offence?
How to break links with someone that you've previously connected with?
Without causing offence.
I don't know why you want to break links with them.
I think it depends on the scenario, really.
Just discreetly unconnect. Don't tell them.
Don't tell them. They wouldn't know. Would they know you've disconnected? I think that's one of the things. I mean, you can
probably, because if they then want to do something, if they want to message you, it's like, I
have thought about that on a few occasions. I've had some really and I've become a bit more astute about who I allow into my connections. You have the random one where they'll be like, oh yeah, are you married? That does come up every now and again. It just makes me feel a little bit good, actually. That still out there, but alhamdulillah, happily married with 3 little boys. But it's
I
still
don't get that one. MashaAllah,
do you not?
There you go.
And then when I say I am, it's like, oh, but can you find me a sister like yourself? And I'm like, I'm not married, not marriage bureau, but
you could say, okay, fill out this form, and you can set up a matrimonial website. There you go.
Or maybe a referral for you to one. Maybe you get like an affiliate link set up with one. It's a good plan. I'm going to have to look into that as a side hustle myself.
Wow. So there you go. SubhanAllah, there you go. No, I don't get marriage inquiries, proposals, anything like that. It's normally very boring stuff. But the thing is, you don't have to reply to people. You don't have to respond. You don't have to accept. And I think you should develop that mindset that it's a business platform. So
I think on that point, it's a business platform, and because we are literally less than a minute to go, it's an amazing online community. That's how I feel about LinkedIn. For professionals, for people who just want to connect on a different level to other social media networks.
Yeah. So I would keep that in my head. Look, be friendly, be sociable, but just remember, it's a business platform. So if you don't want to, people know that, and so don't feel guilty if you don't reply to everybody, if you don't entertain certain conversations, because essentially you're on that platform to make money and save money.
Brilliant. Professor, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Just to remind listeners, you have been tuned into the Ramadan special here on EAVA 102.5 FM. And join us tomorrow, inshallah, on the Morning Matters with Sharmeen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.